Hey everyone, welcome back to TVP Wildlife, the channel where nature comes alive. And today, we're hopping straight into the heart of Australia, home to one of the most iconic, athletic, and downright fascinating animals on the planet, the kangaroo. If you've ever seen one of these muscular marsupials bouncing across the red desert at sunset, you know they're not just animals. They're living symbols of the wild spirit of Australia. But behind those powerful legs and cute faces lies a story full of survival, struggle, and mystery. So grab your gear, mates. Let's jump into the wild and uncover the untold story of the kangaroo, nature's ultimate hopper. The land down under. The story of the kangaroo begins in one of the most unique landscapes on Earth, Australia, a continent shaped by isolation, ancient ecosystems, and harsh extremes. For millions of years, this land has baked under the sun, survived massive droughts, and evolved creatures that exist nowhere else on the planet. Kangaroos are truly children of this continent, products of an environment that demands adaptability, toughness, and incredible resourcefulness. Here, survival isn't easy. Water is scarce, predators lurk, and the land stretches endlessly into shimmering horizons. But for kangaroos, this is paradise. They've mastered the art of life in the outback, turning the land's challenges into advantages. Long before humans ever set foot here, kangaroos were evolving into their modern form. Fossil evidence shows that their ancestors date back over 25 million years, when the climate was wetter and forests blanketed much of Australia. But as the land dried, these ancient marsupials began to change. They grew longer legs, stronger tails, and developed a unique mode of travel. Hopping. It wasn't just fast. It was energy efficient, the perfect way to cross vast distances under the blazing sun. And that's how the kangaroo became the king of motion in the outback. With each leap, they cover up to 9 meters in a single bound. Imagine that. Almost the length of a school bus. But these leaps aren't just for show. They're the key to survival. In a land where food and water are spread thin, the ability to move quickly and efficiently means life or death. When the sun rises over the Australian plains, the air is cool and still. Then, in the distance, you hear a soft thump, 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 the sound of kangaroos waking and starting their day. There are 4 major species of kangaroo in Australia. The red kangaroo, the largest and most famous, a true giant of the outback. The eastern grey kangaroo, known for its gentle nature and forest homes. The western grey kangaroo, slightly smaller but just as tough. And the Antilopean kangaroo, sleek and fast, living in tropical northern regions. Each one is perfectly adapted to its environment, yet they all share one thing: a powerful sense of community and survival. A group of kangaroos is called a mob, and it's not just for safety. It's a social network of family. In the wild, strength in numbers means better chances of spotting predators and finding food. But even within the mob, there's hierarchy. Alpha males, known as boomers, dominate through shows of strength, while females, or flyers, lead in nurturing and social balance. We'll dive deeper into their society later, but for now, just imagine living in a world where every day is a dance between survival and grace. Kangaroos belong to the marsupial family, a group of mammals famous for their pouches. And what's inside that pouch? A miracle of evolution, a tiny, underdeveloped baby called a joey. Here's where it gets wild. When a joey is born, it's smaller than a jelly bean, blind, hairless, and barely alive. Yet somehow, it crawls up into its mother's pouch, attaches to a teat, and continues to grow safely inside for months. It's one of nature's most delicate and incredible survival strategies. While other mammals risked everything giving birth to large, fully developed offspring, the kangaroo's method is smart and efficient, perfect for a harsh land where food and water can vanish overnight. If conditions turn bad, the mother can even pause the development of a fertilized egg, a phenomenon called embryonic diapause, waiting until times improve before bringing the next joey into the world. That's right, kangaroo moms can literally hit pause on pregnancy. Nature's got some serious tricks up its sleeve. But life in Australia isn't just about sunshine and hopping through fields. It's a test a land of fire, drought, and dust storms. In the dry season, rivers vanish. The ground cracks. Temperatures soar beyond 40 C104F. Food becomes scarce. And yet the kangaroo endures. Their bodies are designed for this world. They can go weeks without drinking, absorbing moisture from the plants they eat. Their kidneys conserve water so efficiently that they barely waste a drop. And when the heat becomes unbearable, they lick their forearms using evaporative cooling to lower their body temperature. It's pure biological brilliance, evolution fine-tuned over millions of years. Through fire and drought, these creatures continue to thrive, a symbol of resilience that mirrors Australia itself. So the next time you picture a kangaroo bounding across the horizon, remember every leap tells a story of survival. Every muscle, every instinct, every movement is the product of millions of years of adaptation to one of the toughest environments on Earth.
Built for the outback under the blazing sun of the Australian outback, every living creature is tested. Heat, distance, and hunger push animals to their limits, but the kangaroo, it turns those challenges into a showcase of strength and grace. Every muscle, tendon, and bone is designed for survival. It's not just built to live here, it's engineered to thrive. Imagine standing before a red kangaroo, the largest of its kind. 2 meters tall, chest broad as a bodybuilder's, tail thick as a tree branch. When it locks eyes with you, you can feel that wild energy, calm but coiled, ready to explode into motion at any second. Its body isn't random. It's the result of millions of years of perfect engineering. Let's break it down from the ground up. The first thing anyone notices about a kangaroo is, of course, those legs. They're absurdly long, sculpted, and muscular, the kind of anatomy that makes Olympic sprinters jealous. But what's truly astonishing is how they work. Kangaroos don't run, they hop. That might sound simple, but hopping is one of nature's most energy-efficient ways to move. Each time a kangaroo lands, the tendons in its legs, especially the massive Achilles tendons, stretch like rubber bands, storing elastic energy. On the next leap, that energy releases, propelling the animal forward without much extra effort. Think of it like a biological pogo stick. The faster they go, the less energy they use per distance. It's the opposite of how most animals move, where we get tired faster as we speed up. Kangaroos become more efficient. A big male red kangaroo can cover 9 meters 30 feet in one bound and reach speeds of over 60 kilometers per hour, 37 miles per hour. And they can sustain a cruising speed around 25 kilometers per hour for hours, a true marathon hopper. Their feet, long and narrow, act like springs too. Each step absorbs shock and returns force. Their claws grip the earth, even on loose, sand or rocky ground. And when they rest, they balance gently on the tips of those massive hind legs, a position that looks casual but hides enormous power. If the legs are engines, the tail is the secret stabilizer, a living counterweight that keeps everything in perfect balance. When a kangaroo hops, the tail swings in sync with its movement, keeping the body upright and steady. But here's the wild part. Scientists discovered that kangaroos actually use their tail as a fifth limb when moving slowly. Watch one walk, and you'll see the tail pushes against the ground like an extra leg, helping the front paws move forward. It's not just for balance, it's a muscle-powered propeller. In fact, their tails are so strong they can support the animal's entire weight. And when males fight, they literally lean back on their tails to kick with both legs. A single strike from those hind legs can break a rib, or even kill a predator. So next time you see a kangaroo casually hopping away, remember, that tail isn't decoration. It's a built-in weapon, tripod, and balance pole, all in one. Inside that athletic body lies another marvel, a heart built for endurance. Because hopping uses elastic energy, kangaroos can travel long distances without exhausting themselves. Their cardiovascular system has evolved to keep up with that efficiency. A kangaroo's heart beats slower than most mammals of its size, but each beat pumps a massive volume of blood. This high stroke volume means oxygen gets delivered more efficiently to muscles. Their blood also carries extra red blood cells, improving oxygen flow during long journeys in the heat. And here's something truly clever, their breathing rhythm is linked to their hopping motion. Each time they land, the pressure on their abdomen pushes air out of the lungs. Each time they leap, the chest expands, pulling air in. It's automatic, no wasted effort. Imagine running and having your breathing perfectly synchronized with your stride, effortlessly. That's how kangaroos breathe. It's nature's ultimate fitness hack. Kangaroos may not be known for intelligence in the human sense, but their instincts are razor sharp. Living in such an unpredictable land means they've developed extraordinary awareness. Their large, sensitive ears can swivel independently, tracking sounds from any direction. When danger is near, maybe a dingo creeping through the grass, the first sign isn't a shout or a growl. It's silence. Then, one kangaroo stamps its foot, a deep, thudding warning that ripples through the mob. Instantly, dozens of heads snap up, muscles tense, and the entire group vanishes into motion, bounding away in perfect coordination. There's no panic, no chaos, just pure instinct and unity. Each kangaroo knows exactly how to read its surroundings, react to cues, and keep its distance from predators. Even more impressive, they've learned to adapt to human presence. In areas near farms or towns, kangaroos are just their active hours, feeding at night and resting in shade during the day. They memorize water sources and can even navigate fences and roads with eerie precision. That level of adaptability is what keeps them thriving, even as human expansion changes their world. Australia's outback can feel like an oven, and for an animal covered in fur, that's a dangerous problem. But kangaroos have a few ingenious tricks. First, they're mostly active at dawn and dusk, the cooler hours. During the heat of the day, they rest in the shade, conserving energy. But when it really gets hot, they lick their forearms, not because they're nervous, but because their forearms are covered in blood vessels close to the surface. The saliva evaporates, cooling the blood as it circulates. It's the marsupial version of an air conditioner. They also control blood flow to different body parts depending on temperature, sending more blood to the surface when they're hot and pulling it inward when they're cold. Combined with their lean build and light-colored fur that reflects sunlight, these adaptations allow them to stay cool even when temperatures climb past 45 degrees Celsius. And while many animals pant heavily to cool down, kangaroos regulate their breathing to prevent dehydration. Every part of their physiology is tuned for balance, endurance without waste, for all their strength. One of the kangaroo's most astonishing features lies not in their muscles, but in their ability to nurture life. Female kangaroos are walking miracles of biology. After a brief pregnancy, just about 33 days, the mother gives birth to a joey smaller than your thumb. This tiny creature, blind and fragile, climbs instinctively into her pouch and attaches to one of the teats. Once it's latched on, it stays there for months, growing, feeding, learning. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. Each teat produces a different kind of milk, tailored to the age of the joey drinking from it. That means a mother kangaroo can support two joeys of different ages at the same time, each getting the exact nutrition they need. And when the land turns dry, she can pause her next pregnancy using embryonic diapause, holding the embryo in suspended animation until conditions improve. No other large mammal does it quite like this. It's evolution's perfect balance between risk and resilience. In a world where one drought could mean disaster, kangaroos always have a backup plan. When you see a mob of kangaroos bounding across open plains, it's like watching poetry in motion, wild, rhythmic, and strangely serene. Dust rises behind them, the sun silhouettes their forms against a golden sky. Each leap looks effortless, but it's a symphony of physics and biology. The tension in their legs, the swing of their tails, the rhythm of their breath, all synchronized in perfect harmony. They move like living machines, tuned to the pulse of the earth, and yet, despite all that power, there's gentleness in their movements, a soft landing, a pause to graze, a mother grooming her joey. They're athletes, but they're also caretakers, survivors, and symbols of balance. Out here, every heartbeat, every leap, every instinct keeps them alive. It's a daily reminder that the outback doesn't reward the strongest or the fastest, it rewards the most adapted. And the kangaroo? It's the ultimate survivor of the Australian wild.
Life in the Moban, the vast open plains of Australia. The world of the kangaroo is never truly silent. Even when everything seems still, when the air trembles with heat and the grass barely moves, there's life pulsing just beneath the surface. Somewhere among the eucalyptus trees, a family of kangaroos, a mob grazes quietly, their movements slow and deliberate. Life in the mob is built on rhythm, routine, and relationships the hidden heartbeat of kangaroo society. It's not chaos. It's not random. It's an organized world where every thump of a foot, every flick of an ear, and every glance means something. Kangaroos are often seen as loners, but that's a misunderstanding. Out here, no one survives alone. The mob isn't just company, it's protection, communication, and commune. At the center of every mob stands a dominant male, the boomer. He's the largest, strongest, and most battle-hardened of them all. You can spot him instantly, his chest thick with muscle, shoulders broad, tail massive. Standing taller than the rest, the boomer doesn't lead like a lion or roll through constant aggression. His authority comes from strength and confidence, a presence that needs no explanation. The other males, called jacks, know their place. The females, the flyers, move with quiet respect around him. But being the top male isn't just about pride. It's a never-ending job of defending that position. Rival males are always watching, waiting for their chance. When two boomers clash, it's one of nature's most dramatic displays, an ancient duel fought not for land, but for legacy. They stand tall, balanced on their powerful tails, forearms raised like boxers. Each move is calculated: a feint, a grab, a mighty kick. Their hind legs strike with enough force to break bone. Dust explodes around them as they circle each other, muscles rippling in the sunlight. And then, just as suddenly as it begins, it ends. The loser turns away, humbled but alive. The victor stands tall, chest heaving, the king of the mob once more. It's brutal, yes, but it's also pure instinct, the ancient rhythm of life and dominance that's kept the species strong for millions of years. Yet within all that power, there's tenderness. A mob isn't held together by fear, but by connection. Female kangaroos, the flyers, share an unspoken understanding. They graze together, rest together, and care for their joeys side by side. When danger approaches, it's often a mother who senses it first. Her head snaps up, ears twitcher and nostrils flaring. She stamps the ground sharply, thump, thump, the universal signal of warning. Instantly, the mob freezes. Then, as one, they scatter, moving with breathtaking coordination. That single sound, a stomp, can save dozens of lives. It's not shouted or dramatic, but it carries through the air like thunder. When the threat passes, they regroup. Mothers call softly to their joeys with gentle clicks and low growls, voices that carry affection and familiarity. Each joey knows its mother's sound by heart, and when the mob rests, you'll often see small clusters, mothers grooming each other, joeys peeking curiously from pouches, older young ones bouncing in playful mimicry of their elders. It's social, tender, and full of quiet life. No part of kangaroo society captures the imagination like the joey. To see a tiny head poke out from a mother's pouch, eyes wide with wonder, is to witness the gentlest part of the outback's wild rhythm. For months, a joey's entire world is the safety of that warm pouch. It's fed, protected, and rocked by the motion of its mother's leaps. It listens to her heartbeat, learns the rhythm of her steps, and slowly grows stronger. When it's finally ready to leave the pouch, the adventure begins, a cautious exploration of the world. It hops a few meters, then dives back in at the slightest noise. Day by day, confidence grows. But motherhood here isn't easy. Predators lurk everywhere: dingoes, eagles, and even snakes. A mother must stay alert constantly. If danger comes suddenly, she doesn't hesitate. She can leap away at incredible speed, sometimes forced to drop her joey to save herself, a tragic but natural instinct of survival. Even so, many joeys survive, and those who do grow fast. They learn by imitation, watching how the adults graze, rest, and move as one. By the time they're fully grown, they're ready to join the rhythm of mob life, carrying forward the lessons learned in their mother's shadow. Despite their rugged environment, kangaroos spend most of their time in peace. A typical day is filled with feeding, resting, and socializing. At dawn and dusk, the coolest hours, they move out to feed on grass, nibbling slowly, ears always twitching to pick up sounds from far away. When the midday heat hits, the mob retreats to shaded areas, lying on their sides to rest. Some dig shallow depressions in the dirt, natural cool spots that hold the faint moisture of the earth. But among the young, there's always energy. You'll see them sparring mock fights that look just like the real thing, but softer, playful. They push, grab, and kick lightly, testing their strength. It's not aggression, it's training, learning how to move, how to defend, how to understand their place in the mob. Sometimes, even adults play. A boomer might spar gently with a curious juvenile or engage in friendly grooming sessions with others. For animals often depicted as stoic and distant, kangaroos have an undeniable social warmth. And that warmth matters because when you live in a land where every day could bring fire or drought, you need more than strength. You need community. As dusk deepens into night, the outback transforms. The air cools, and the sky turns a deep indigo scattered with stars so bright, they look close enough to touch. This is when the mob becomes most active. They move silently across the grasslands, feeding in open spaces where it's safer from predators. The boomers stay alert, their silhouettes barely visible against the moonlight, tails brushing the ground as they move. Night in the outback is both serene and dangerous. Dingoes prowl, and the sound of distant howls echoes across the plains. The mob's defense isn't confrontation, it's awareness. A single twitch of an ear, a soft stamp, and the entire group melts into the shadows, vanishing like ghosts. It's a balance between caution and confidence. The mob knows the land, every ridge, every tree, every dry creek bed. They've lived here for generations. An instinct runs deep. By midnight, the world is silent again, except for the faint rustle of movement and the rhythmic thump of distant hops. Even in darkness, the mob's unity holds strong. Kangaroos don't need roars or songs. Their language is subtle gestures, postures, and sounds that speak volumes. A lowered head means calm. A raised posture signals alertness. Ears flicking forward, curiosity. Flattened back, warning. When males prepare to fight, the shift is immediate. The chest inflates, the forearms rise, and a deep growl vibrates through the air. It's both a challenge and a warning. Most of the time, it ends without violence. The weaker male bows out, knowing instinctively when to back down. Mothers, meanwhile, use a range of soft sounds for their young, gentle clucks, clicks, and hums that only the joey understands. Sometimes, even when her joey is grown and independent, a mother will call softly, and the grown kangaroo will respond with the same gentle tone. It's communication born of survival, quiet but powerful. Seasons come and go. Droughts burn the earth. Rains return to bring life back to the plains. And through it all, the mob endures. New joeys are born. Old boomers pass on. Territories shift. Mobs merge, split, and reform. The cycle never stops. There's no written rule here, just instinct and adaptation. The mob structure ensures the survival of the whole. When food is scarce, they move together, covering vast distances in search of greener fields. When storms hit, they shelter in gullies and forests, huddled together for warmth. It's a society shaped by the land itself, flexible, resilient, and deeply attuned to the rhythm of nature. And as the sun rises once more over the orange desert, the mob begins another day, grazing, hopping, eating in quiet harmony with the endless sky above them. Out here, life isn't about domination or greed. It's about balance between strength and tenderness, solitude and togetherness. And the kangaroo, in all its grace and power, is the perfect symbol of that balance, the beating heart of Australia's wild soul. Humans and kangaroos for tens of thousands of years. Before cities rose and roads carved through the wilderness, humans and kangaroos shared this land, the vast, sun-baked continent of Australia. Their story isn't just one of coexistence. It's a long, complex relationship built on respect, survival, and sometimes conflict. When the first Aboriginal peoples arrived more than 60,000 years ago, they entered a land unlike any other. Giant kangaroos nearly 3 meters tall still roamed the plains then. These ancient giants, known as Procoptodon golia, were powerful plant eaters that stood eye to eye with the grown human. To early people, they must have looked like mythical beings, half spirit, half animal. Over generations, as the climate changed and Australia's megafauna disappeared, smaller, more agile kangaroos became the dominant species. and the people adapted alongside them. For Aboriginal Australians, the kangaroo was never just an animal. It was a sacred presence, a teacher, a symbol, and a source of life. Every part of the kangaroo served a purpose. Its meat provided food, its skin, clothing, its bones, tools, and weapons. Nothing was wasted, but beyond utility, it held spiritual meaning. In Dreamtime stories, the ancient creation myths passed down through song and dance, kangaroos often appear as ancestral beings who shaped the land and taught humans how to live in harmony with it. In one story, a great red kangaroo spirit bounded across the desert, its massive leaps forming the valleys and rivers that still cut through the outback today. To hunt such an animal wasn't merely a physical act, it was a ritual, carried out with reverence and balance. The hunter asked permission through song and prayer, honoring the animal's spirit. For millennia, this respectful coexistence defined life in Australia. Humans and kangaroos shared the same rhythm: the seasons, the droughts, the fires. But everything changed when a new kind of human arrived. In 1770, when British explorer James Cook claimed Australia for the crown, he and his crew encountered an animal they'd never seen before. It hopped instead of ran, carried its young in a pouch, and stared back with calm, intelligent eyes. When Cook asked the local Gugu Yamathir people what it was called, they replied, Kangaroo. The word stuck and became kangaroo. For European settlers, the kangaroo was both wonder and puzzle. To them, it looked like a creature drawn from imagination, half deer, half giant rat. Early paintings and written accounts tried, and failed, to capture its strangeness. But fascination soon turned into exploitation. As settlements expanded, the relationship between humans and kangaroos shifted dramatically. The newcomers saw land as property, not as part of a spiritual cycle. The open plains became farms, the forests turned to pastures, and the kangaroo's home shrank with each fence and plowed field. At first, kangaroos adapted easily. They grazed on crops and thrived in cleared land. But to farmers, that adaptability looked like invasion. The same creature once admired for its grace became labeled as a pest. Within a century, millions were hunted for their meat, for their skins, and sometimes simply to protect farmland. By the late 1800s, professional shooters roamed the outback, turning kangaroos into a booming trade commodity. Yet, even as they were hunted, kangaroos also became icons. The paradox had begun: an animal revered and slaughtered at the same time. As Australia grew into a nation, the kangaroo transformed from a creature of myth into a national emblem. It leaped onto coins, flags, military badges, and even the official coat of arms. It became a symbol of progress, forward motion, resilience, and strength. The phrase, "as Aussie as a kangaroo," was born. But behind the symbol lay a complicated reality. Kangaroos were still being killed in massive numbers, not for survival, but for profit. Their meat fed pets and livestock. Their hides were turned into leather for gloves, boots, and soccer shoes. By the 20th century, commercial harvesting had become one of the largest wildlife trades on Earth. Even today, more than 1 million kangaroos are culled each year under government quotas. Supporters argue it's sustainable that kangaroos breed rapidly, that the meat industry provides jobs, that controlled harvesting prevents overgrazing. Critics, however, see something darker: an industrialized system that treats a national symbol as disposable. For animal rights groups, the image of a mother shot and her joey orphaned has become a rallying cry. They argue that there are more humane ways to coexist, that the kangaroo should be protected not just as a resource, but as a living part of Australia's identity. In the heart of this debate lies a haunting irony. The same animal that stands on Australia's coat of arms is still legally hunted for export. In recent years, as climate change reshapes Australia, people are once again turning to the wisdom of the land and of the Aboriginal traditions that sustained balance for millennia. Many Aboriginal communities still practice traditional land management, using controlled burns and seasonal hunting guided by ancestral knowledge. They see kangaroos not as pests or trophies, but as partners in a shared ecosystem. In these traditions, every creature has a place. The kangaroo eats certain grasses that prevent wildfires from spreading too fast. Its movement helps spread seeds and maintain the balance of plant life. When its numbers grow too high, selective culling is done carefully. Using the old ways, nothing wasted, everything respected. Meanwhile, scientists and conservationists are beginning to see the same truth. The kangaroo isn't just part of the environment, it shapes it. Their grazing patterns influence plant growth. Their droppings fertilize the soil. Even their footprints, pressed into the dust, create microhabitats for insects and seeds. The outback as we know it today was sculpted in part by millions of kangaroo feet over countless generations. Understanding this interconnectedness is key to Australia's ecological future. The lessons that Aboriginal people carried for 60,000 years of respect, balance, and restraint might hold the answer to the modern crisis of overdevelopment and climate change. But not all coexistence is peaceful. In modern Australia, kangaroos live closer to humans than ever before. With cities expanding and farmland pushing deep into their habitats, encounters have become daily life. Drive through rural Australia at dusk, and you'll see them silhouettes moving gracefully across the road, drawn to open fields and fresh grass. For drivers, they're both majestic and dangerous. Kangaroo collisions are now one of the most common causes of road accidents in the country. In suburban areas, they graze on golf courses, wander through backyards, even hop across school grounds at dawn. Most Australians have seen a kangaroo up close, and most have stories to tell. Some people smile in awe, filming on their phones. Others get nervous, especially when a territorial male stands his ground. A fully grown red kangaroo can stand 2 meters tall and deliver a kick strong enough to shatter bone. There are viral videos of kangaroos squaring off with dogs or even humans, standing upright like boxers. A strange, comic clash between wild nature and modern life. Yet, despite these conflicts, Australians remain proud of their unique neighbors. There's affection beneath the frustration, a sense that kangaroos are part of what makes Australia beyond the continent. The kangaroo has become one of the most recognized animals in the world. From cartoon characters to sports logos, it's everywhere, a global ambassador of the Australian spirit. Tourists flock from every corner of the planet hoping to see one in the wild. They imagine open plains and orange sunsets, a mob of kangaroos bounding across the horizon, the ultimate image of freedom. And when they see it for real, that leap, that grace, something changes. There's a moment of awe that transcends words. Wildlife photographers call it the outback hush, that instant when time seems to stop and all you hear is the soft thud of feet on earth, the breath of the wind, and the heartbeat of the land itself. No photo can truly capture it. It's something you feel. That's why, for all the debates, all the conflicts, all the history, the kangaroo remains a bridge between worlds, ancient and modern, human and wild. Australia today faces an uncertain future, longer droughts, harsher fires, shrinking habitats. But if one thing defines the kangaroo, it's resilience. Even after the devastating bushfires of 2019 and 2020, when millions of hectares burned and countless animals were lost, kangaroos were among the first to return. Within weeks, camera traps showed them hopping through charred forests, grazing on the first shoots of green that pushed through the ashes. It was a quiet act of defiance, nature healing itself. Conservation groups are now working to protect key habitats and corridors that allow mobs to move safely across the landscape. Farmers are collaborating with scientists to balance agriculture and wildlife. And young Australians are growing up with a deeper awareness that coexistence isn't optional, it's essential. Some towns now hold kangaroo festivals, celebrating their presence instead of fighting it. Artists paint murals, filmmakers tell stories, musicians write songs, all inspired by the same creature that once puzzled early explorers. Slowly, the old wisdom returns. To live here, you don't conquer the land, you learn to move with it. And when you look into the calm, intelligent eyes of a kangaroo standing under the burning Australian sun, you can feel that truth. Legends, fights, and futurethi say every land has its legend, and in Australia, that legend hops. The kangaroo has inspired more stories, jokes, and myths than almost any other creature on Earth. It's a symbol, a fighter, a mystery, and sometimes a meme. But behind all that fame lies a creature far deeper than what we see on postcards or in viral clips. Let's step into the myths, the fights, and the future of the kangaroo. Long before the modern world learned the word kangaroo, the Aboriginal peoples already had a rich library of stories about them, stories that connected sky, earth, and spirit. In one Dreamtime legend from the Central Desert, a giant red kangaroo spirit named Marlu raced across the heavens, chased by a hunter. Wherever his feet struck the ground, the earth cracked open into valleys and rivers. When the hunter finally caught him, Marlu's spirit rose to the stars, becoming part of the Milky Way. Even today, when you look up at the night sky from the outback, some elders say you can still see Marlu's shape, the outline of a kangaroo leaping eternally across the stars. Other stories tell of kangaroos who taught humans how to move in harmony with the land, how to follow the seasons, where to find water, and when to rest. The kangaroo's rhythm became part of human rhythm. These weren't just fairy tales, they were living knowledge, passed down through thousands of generations. Each story held practical wisdom about migration, ecology, and survival. The kangaroo wasn't just an animal, it was a teacher. Then came the modern myths, the ones built not in the desert, but in dusty towns and newspaper headlines. One of the most famous, the boxing kangaroo. Back in the 1800s, traveling circuses discovered that if you trained a kangaroo to stand upright and defend itself, it could box, sparring with gloves against human performers. Crowds went wild. Posters advertised the mighty marsupial fighter as a sensation, but the truth was that the kangaroo didn't need training to fight. Fighting was already part of its nature, a ritual built into its DNA. In the wild, male kangaroos spar to establish dominance or win mates. They square off like professional fighters, chest to chest, balanced on their tails, delivering powerful kicks that can crush ribs or send an opponent sprawling. The scene is breathtaking. Dust flying, muscles rippling, tails whipping for balance. It's brutal, but it's also a dance, a natural test of strength and endurance. And once it's over, the victor rarely kills. Dominance is enough. The defeated hops away, pride bruised but alive. The boxing we see on TV or memes, kangaroos squaring up to humans, is usually a defensive act. They're protecting territory, food, or a joey. But let's be honest, there's something undeniably wild about watching a kangaroo stand its ground. Chest out, arms raised, like nature's own martial artist. And that image, half funny, half heroic, became iconic. During World War II, the boxing kangaroo became a symbol for Australian troops, representing resilience, courage, and the ability to fight back no matter the odds. Decades later, it reappeared on a yellow flag during the 1983 America's Cup, when the Australian yacht team shocked the world by defeating the US after 132 years of dominance. The green and gold kangaroo punching the air became a national symbol of victory and pride. Since then, it's flown at the Olympics, cheered on by millions. A reminder that the spirit of the kangaroo, determined, defiant, and full of energy, runs deep in the Australian heart. As the world fell in love with Australia, the kangaroo became its biggest celebrity. In the 20th century, it leaped onto the global stage. Literally, from cartoons to Hollywood, everyone wanted a piece of the roo. Children grew up watching Skippy the Bush Kangaroo, the TV series that aired in the 1960s. Skippy wasn't just a character, she was a hero, a kind of outback lassie, always saving the day, guiding lost kids, or warning of danger. With her famous tsk call, Skippy captured hearts around the world. She turned the kangaroo from an exotic curiosity into a symbol of intelligence and friendship. For many, she was their first connection to Australia long before they saw the Sydney Opera House or Uluru. Later came animated stars, Kanga and Roo from Winnie the Pooh, the lovable Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life, and even the quirky Roger, a buff, real-life red kangaroo who went viral for crushing metal buckets and flexing like a gym bro. Roger became an online sensation, a meme machine, and an icon of pure outback swagger. but cinema also showed the darker side. Films like Kangaroo 2017 explored the ethical battles behind commercial culling, sparking debate about conservation and cruelty. Wildlife documentaries revealed the emotional intelligence of kangaroos, their family bonds, their loyalty, their grief when a joey is lost. Through the lens of film, the world learned what Aboriginal people had always known. Behind those calm eyes lies a deep awareness, a quiet wisdom. Ask any Australian what the kangaroo means to them, and you'll hear a mix of pride and affection, and maybe a bit of frustration. It's everywhere, on coins, passports, sports jerseys, airline logos. Qantas, the national airline, flies a kangaroo on its tail, a reminder that even in the sky, Australia carries a piece of the earth with it. But beyond branding and tourism, the kangaroo has become part of the national psyche. It represents freedom, that ability to move forward, always leaping ahead, never looking back. And there's something poetic about that. The kangaroo, by anatomy, can't move backward easily. Its body is built for forward motion, so Australia chose an animal that literally embodies progress, a land that looks ahead, not behind. Yet that symbolism also carries a warning. Progress, if it forgets its roots, can destroy the very land it depends on. And as Australia grows, so does its responsibility to protect the creatures that made it unique. The world is changing faster than ever. Droughts last longer, fires burn hotter, cities expand deeper into the outback. For the kangaroo, the future is uncertain but not hopeless. Conservationists are now using satellite tracking and AI to monitor kangaroo populations more accurately than ever. New wildlife corridors are being built to connect fragmented habitats, allowing mobs to move safely across farmlands and highways. Communities are learning to coexist using fencing that guides instead of traps, restoring grasslands, and reintroducing native plants that sustain both cattle and kangaroos. And around the world, awareness is growing. Ecotourism focused on ethical wildlife encounters is replacing trophy hunting. Travelers come not to conquer, but to learn to stand quietly as a mob grazes under a fading red sun, to feel the heartbeat of the outback beneath their feet. That's the future the kangaroo deserves, one where ancient respect meets modern understanding. When the sun sets over the desert, painting the horizon in gold and crimson, you can often see them silhouettes moving against the dying light. A mother and her joey, side by side. A group of males sparring in the distance, dust glowing like fire. The endless rhythm of life, still playing after 60 million years. And no matter how much the world changes, no matter how many cities rise or roads cut through the wilderness, the kangaroo remains a heartbeat of Australia. It's in the stories, the flags, the songs, the land. It's in the eyes of every child who sees one for the first time and whispers, "Wow." Maybe that's the real magic of the kangaroo, not just its power or speed, but its ability to connect us back to something ancient, something true. Because when you watch a kangaroo leap across the red dust of the outback, you're not just seeing an animal, you're witnessing Australia itself, wild, resilient, and beautifully alive. And that, my friends, is the story of the kangaroo, the heartbeat of Australia's wild soul. From ancient Dreamtime legends to the modern cities of today, it's a creature that has leapt through time itself, surviving drought, fire, and change. It's not just an animal, it's a story of motion, balance, and resilience. Think about it for a second. The kangaroo never walks backward. It only moves forward no matter how rough the road gets. Maybe that's the lesson we all need. To keep moving, to keep leaping, even when the world around us burns or breaks. Out there in the silence of the outback, under that endless southern sky, the kangaroo still runs, still fights, still dreams. It's not just part of Australia, it is Australia. So the next time you see that familiar silhouette, tail sweeping, legs coiling, body rising into the air, remember what it represents: freedom, endurance, and the spirit of the wild. This has been TVP Wildlife, where we bring you the untold stories of the creatures that make our planet extraordinary. If you enjoyed this journey through the red deserts and open plains of the kangaroo's world, Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more incredible wildlife stories every week. And as always, stay curious, stay wild, and we'll see you in the next adventure. TVP Wildlife, exploring the untamed heart of nature.